Hello, this is cjhoyle. Today is Sunday, December the 13th, 2020, and I'm standing here at the intersection of Yonge Street and Yonge Boulevard in Toronto. Today I'm riding my Linear Limo Recumbent Bike, which as you can see has an action camera mounted on the front of it, and in this video I'm going to be riding south and giving a narrated tour of Yonge Street. Alright, so from here at Yonge Boulevard I begin my way heading south. This area of Yonge Street is known as the Yonge Lawrence Village. The businesses in this area all belong to a BIA, or Business Improvement Area, that's called the Yonge Lawrence Village BIA. As you'll notice, the Yonge Street does not have a bike lane on it, so it's not the most inviting place to ride a bike, at least not right now. One of the reasons that I decided to ride here today, though, is because back in October, Toronto City Council approved a motion for the city to study and explore installing temporary bike lanes on Yonge Street here, stretching from north of Lawrence, where I am right now, potentially all the way down to Bloor Street. And if you'll recall, earlier in December, I made a video showing Danforth Avenue, which now has bike lanes. And previous to that, about a year earlier, or nearly a year earlier, I filmed a video showing Danforth before bike lanes. So my idea with this video is that this will be the before video, and hopefully sometime in 2021, I'll be able to return here and make a video showing what this street looks like with bike lanes. There's a lot of similarities between Yonge and Danforth. They both have subway lines which run underneath of them. And they're both relatively wide streets, making them good candidates for being able to add bike lanes. The Danforth bike lanes went in as part of a program called Active TO, which is one of Toronto's responses to the COVID-19 pandemic. And that program saw bike lanes temporarily being installed on portions of Bloor, Danforth, University Avenue, portions of Dundas, and lots of other little sections out in the suburbs. Actually, some longer sections in the suburbs as well. And I do eventually hope to show all of those on video. But in that list of projects I mentioned, unfortunately there was nothing that was built sort of in the middle of the city here in this area, which is, kind of called Midtown. There was no bike lane improvements that were installed, and it's not like the reason that there wasn't any improvements made because this area already has it really good with respect to bike infrastructure. In fact, the opposite is true. There's really no bike infrastructure. There's lots of side streets, but they're not really continuous because these major, arterials, once you get to one, a road will often dead end that you're following. So the closest thing they have to bike infrastructure is these signed routes where they have these little blue signs that says this is a bike route. But in terms of enabling people to be able to bike to shop in businesses to go shopping, or bike to work, or being able to go to school, stuff like that, there's not really a lot of good options for getting to those destinations. So a bike lane on Yonge Street would really change a lot with respect to that. So back there I just went across Lawrence Avenue, which is a major east-west arterial. It goes most of the way across the city, although there's a section in the middle if you sort of turn. So if I had turned left there, Lawrence Avenue dead ends, and then it picks up again on the other side of the Don Valley Ravine. So that BIA, the Business Improvement Area that we were riding through before Lawrence, that's named after Yonge Lawrence, that intersection. And the neighborhood, which is over to my left, that's called Lawrence Park. There's a park in between here and there, but directly to the left of me, or to the east of me, that area is all known as Lawrence Park. It's a very nice neighborhood with very big, old, historic houses, very expensive houses. It's a little bit of a hill here. We're climbing up, and then we'll be going down again. Because I'm heading south towards the lake, this road is mostly downhill. This is Glen Grove Avenue I'm about to cross, and I got a green light. And now I've entered the next business improvement area. This is called the Uptown Yonge BIA. And I actually used to live in this neighborhood. For the first 3 years that I lived in Toronto, I lived a little bit north of Yonge and Eglinton. So I know this area quite well. And I really became reacquainted with Yonge Street again this past summer, because there was a campaign going on which was all about supporting businesses, supporting local businesses during the tough times of the pandemic. And the local cycling community organized a campaign called Bikes Love Yonge, and it was all about encouraging cyclists to shop locally in their local area along Yonge Street. And it was all about, shopping locally and riding your bike to go and do that there. And there's also sort of a social media component to it, where you would post a photo showing where you had gone and what you had done. So I had a weekly tradition throughout the summer of coming to this area, riding my bike to get here, and usually I'd have a meal. I often would get takeout and enjoy it in a park somewhere, but also did shopping at, just my regular shopping. While I was here, I figured, I might as well, pick up some groceries or pick up the other various different things that I need. One of the keys with the Danforth bike lane was that it was built in such a way, because they had this wide streetscape. They built the bike lanes in such a way that there could still be parking on the street. There could also be street side patios that were built, which was really nice to see and nice to have. And the idea would be to do just pretty much a copy paste of that design and put it here, and these businesses could thrive in the same way that Danforth did. So the street I'm about to cross is called Sherwood Avenue, and actually the neighborhood that's over to my left is called the Sherwood Park neighborhood. There's actually a park called Sherwood Park. In fact, many years ago, 2014, I made a video where I took a toboggan over to Sherwood Park, and I guess that's just for the pedestrians. Sorry, took a toboggan over to Sherwood Park and slid down it with my camera. So this area, this part of the Uptown Yonge neighborhood is usually referred to as Yonge and Eglinton, even though Eglinton is still probably nearly a kilometer away from here. This whole area is just known as Yonge and Eglinton. It's never really had a distinct name other than the names of the intersection. And it has a really high population density. There's lots of residential towers that are constantly going up. The street that I'm just crossing over on my left, it's hidden behind the cars, but where that Starbucks is, that's Erskine Avenue, where I lived from 2013 until early in 2016. So yeah, this area is always lots of development going on here, lots of big buildings, lots of cranes, and this area has changed an awful lot since when I used to live here. This building over on the right that says Stock Bar, it's the Toronto. It says Dominion Public Building into the limestone. It used to be a post office when I lived here, Postal Station K, but they've now not only replaced the actual building, but behind it they built a giant condo. Well, not a giant condo, but a condo. Probably 20 stories or so. And it's incorporated into that old historic building.
Yes. I've been watching my house.
So we're just at, well, the cars that I'm waiting behind are at the intersection of Orchard View and Yonge. There's a traffic light there. And just wait for the traffic lights to get through here. Beyond that traffic light, there's another one for the Yonge and Eglinton intersection, which is a particularly busy intersection right now because they are building the LRT underneath of Eglinton Avenue. It's called the Crosstown, and it should be finished in a couple of years. And there's going to be a station there which intersects with the Yonge subway, which is underneath where we are, and sort of the middle of the system. So they've got a lot of construction that's really been going on since, you know, when I used to live here all those years ago. So yeah, this area would have used to have sort of 2 lanes coming through it, but they've narrowed it just down to 1 because in the median here, they've got a big pit in the ground where they're doing work. In addition to having lots of residential in here, there's a number of office towers that are right here at Yonge and Eglinton intersection. There's also a mall, a very small mall, underneath of the building that's over to my right. It's called the Yonge Eglinton Center. You can see a sign on the right for that. And here's the actual intersection, and the main entrance to the Eglinton subway station is over on the right there. We've got another red light to wait for here. So today it's kind of cold day. I mean, when I left home, the thermometer said 2 degrees Celsius. It feels like it may have warmed up a bit, or maybe I've just warmed up from having ridden my bike around. Before that traffic light back there at Orchard View, that's where the Uptown Yonge BIA ends, and the area right at Yonge and Eglinton is not associated with any BIAs. But beyond this next traffic light, we're entering the next business improvement area, which is called the Midtown BIA, or Midtown Yonge BIA. This is Berwick Avenue that we're crossing. And there's another nice historic downtown strip of businesses. And you can see again, very wide lanes here, and there certainly would be room to put a bike lane in addition to areas for people to park and places for patios for the restaurants. Wait for another red light here. This is Manor Road. There's my green light. So like I said, City Council has already approved this motion to study and explore the bike lanes, but to actually get them built, I believe they will be coming back to City Council. So if you'd like to support that project, there's a petition for specifically Yonge Street. I know I've shared links to petitions before, but there is actually one specific to Yonge, and I'll provide a link to that in the description below that you can sign. Nowhere on the petition do they say that you actually have to live in Toronto to sign them, so I know my viewers are from all over the place, so I just mentioned that because if you think it's important that we have safe bike infrastructure on our streets like Yonge Street, it's certainly worth signing. So right here we're approaching the intersection of Davisville Avenue, and here to turn right it's called Chaplin Crescent, and this is also where the Davisville subway station is. So anyway, that concludes part 1 of my narrated tour of Yonge Street in Midtown Toronto. In part 2 I'm going to continue my way down Yonge Street all the way to Bloor. I hope you enjoyed joining me for part 1. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.